Hello there everyone, Ragewood here, and today we have our first Etheria restart video. Now there's been a lot of hype around the game recently with the live stream that was done last week. We have the beta coming on this coming Thursday at the time of recording, and the launch of the game is a little over a month away. Now I'm very fortunate that I've had access to the game in the week leading up to the beta. And so this video is going to be talking about what I like about it, some areas that I think it could improve on in the future, and ultimately, should you play it? So, without further ado, let's get into it. So without foreshadowing too much, there is an awful lot that I do like about this game. There isn't too much really that needs improvement at a glance. With that being said, the first and obvious thing is the graphics. The graphics look great, everything's very clean, especially this menu that you jump into first. But graphics and it looking good is kind of the minimum that you expect from a game nowadays. What's going to keep players playing is the gameplay, mechanics, all that kind of stuff involved. So we're going to just jump into a little bit of that today. So the first thing we're going to take a look at are the missions. Now in Etheria, they are the Hyperlink Charter. And what I like about it, for those of you who have played Raid, is Raid sort of encourages you to do things in the wrong way, especially with things like gearing. These are very clear and concise and guide you through exactly what you should be doing. Now if we start at the very beginning, the Hyperlink Charter tells you, use some experience items, equip some shells, just basic things that you need to do. And the great thing is that they level up with you and they make sense. And I think that is great. Once you've finished, you come down to level 2. The rewards are also very nice as well, getting summons, some training or some experience for both your shells and your animuses themselves, as well as shadow prints, which for you raid players will be chickens. This account that we're playing on is free to play. We didn't get any access to anything as well, and not once have I felt like I have struggled or fallen behind really anywhere when it comes to these right here. Next, summons and summoning in general. Now, there was a lot of point on no 50-50s. I've never played any games where you've had a feature banner where there's a 50-50 chance, so I can't comment too much on that, but I can understand how it might be frustrating. But I love the fact that if you want to pull on the Freya banner, she is going to be the one that you are going to get. I think that's fantastic, and it helps players, especially those who've been playing for a long time, target specific heroes or animus. If you're one of the people like me who likes to collect them all, like Pokemon, this is a great way to flesh out your account. Another thing that I like is the probabilities. They break down exactly what your rates are. They tell you when your next guarantee is. You don't have to figure it out or have a spreadsheet yourself. It's all here for you. And then you've also got your summon record here. So you can see that I have not had the best of luck recently pulling a load of rares and a couple of epics. But I know that in 55 summons time, I'm guaranteed to get the one that I want. And it also breaks down here. Now, again, Raid is my main background, where you have Void Shards and your normal shards, so these 5 here would only be able to be pulled on a Void Shard, and everything else would be able to pull on an Ancient or a Sacred. But you can get everything on this standard banner. Okay, it's a low percentage chance. You've got a 1% chance of pulling an SSR, and 0.25% of the time you're going to get one of these. Now, on this particular account, I was fortunate enough that I did get this Shadow Senia on the regular summons. So, even as a free-to-play player, you still get the opportunity to get some of the best units in the game just through the regular summons. And you do get a lot of them. Now, you can use these Hydra Crystals to top up, but you don't need to. You're actually better off using that on stamina, especially early on. You get plenty of the summons. You don't have to worry about that. But the summon system in general, I really do like. I think it's great and serves as a good model for other games moving forward. The next thing that I think is great about Etheria is the background farming. Now, bear in mind, I'm only a week in. I've only been playing for a week. I'm level 42. I've made some decent progress, and I'm starting to hit some of these harder dungeons here. Like, we're almost at the max. We're not quite there. But what you can do is I can say, right, I want to farm this 8 times. The good thing is you can tell sort of the AI, I suppose, what you want to target first. If you want to ignore the side ads completely, which I do in this particular team, you can adjust the order and tell them what you want to fight first. You can tell it to stop if you fail, so you don't waste your stamina, that kind of stuff. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to minimize that, okay? That's running now in the background, which I think is great. Now, that is not necessarily new. Some games have had this before, but what a lot of them don't have is the ability to jump into something else completely. So whilst I'm farming that dungeon, I'm going to jump into the investigation, which is essentially Etheria Restart's version of the XP dungeon. Now, as you can see here, this oval guy I'm using here as well. So you can run 2 things at the same time, which is fantastic. It lowers the grind, or that grindy feeling as it were, and allows you to progress in other areas. So if you want to go climb the tower, you can, and you're not feeling like you're missing out on your gear or your XP. You can still do all of that, you know, at the same time, essentially running 2 dungeons, which is great. You can farm campaign, you can say go do the tower modes, you can run XP, you can do lots together at the same time, and I do think that is brilliant. So speaking of the towers, here they are. You've got quite a few different ones here, or variations on a tower mode. The Ember Trek is one of them. You've also got the Ethernet Rally and the Anisync Echoes. So there's a sort of a few different tower modes, if you want to call it here. I've made some progression in some of them, getting stuck at some of the bosses here. But what I like about the Ember Trek is the unique sort of mechanics that you've got here. It adds a little bit of flair to it. So this particular one says after X amount of turns you get struck by thunder, and then that will actually move on to another unit. And I think that is really cool in the fight, and there is something that I actually really love about the boss fights, which we will cut to now. There we are. So I've just farmed a couple of floors just so we can come to this floor here. So this is a boss floor. This particular boss we're fighting is Whitney. Now, the boss floors are a mixture of playable characters in game and copies of the bosses. Anyway, here we go. So when you come to each boss floor fight, this is what you are presented with. It is a negative effect. You have to pick something to make it harder for you, which I think is fantastic. Again, with the whole tower mechanics also in play here as well with the lightning bolt, just makes things harder, and I like having a challenge. I'm very much a PvE player. There's going to be a hard focus on PvP in this game, but this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy. And now these are all just powered up mechanics of what the regular boss has. Now the cool thing about this is if in the future they plan on making like a doubly hard version of this particular dungeon fight, they can use data from these tower modes. So think, right, what do people struggle against, what was picked more often, and adapt it from there, which I think is really great. There we are, and as we are fighting that, our background dungeon ones have finished. 8 wins, 0 losses, there's all my gear. If we come to our hero selection page, and like any game, there is a way to improve your heroes. You can level them up, and you can improve their skills. Now, something I love about Etheria is the ability to use lower level materials to make higher level ones, and I'll show you what I mean here. So in here I need perfect lattices, I'll come to those in a moment, but I also need these things here called Anima imprints. Now as you can see, I've got 434 of the lower level ones. If I come over to Freya here, you can see that I don't have too many of these purple ones here. But what you can do is you can crystal craft. So you can sacrifice your lower level materials at a rate of 5:1 to make your higher level ones. So if I just do 20, for example, I would need a lot more than that. And you can do the same for these as well. So if you've followed me, you'll know that I've played Dragonair and Raid. Think of it as like using your rare books to make epic books. Now that's something that Raid still doesn't have. And I think that is an amazing, amazing quality of life decision that, the guys who've made Etheria have done here. So then if you can't farm the highest level of GP outpost to get these, you can just farm the lower ones. Yes, it will take a lot longer, but it's not a blocker for you to be able to skill up your people in regards to these Anima stones, which is, I love that. The same goes for physically leveling your heroes. Now, instead of chickens, you have these things called shadow prints. But what you can do, again, the red ones are your 5-star chickens, your orange ones are your 4 stars. But let's say I want to level up Freya here. I don't have enough of these. But what I can do with the lower level materials that I've got, I can make 2 of them. And there you are. Job done. Yes, it's used a lot of these, but there all of a sudden I've got 2 5-star chickens and I'm ready to go. How good is that? I think that is fantastic and also super, super important because to begin with, you get quite a few. Like, as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 level 5 heroes. But very quickly, those red shadow prints for free start to fall off. So being able to do that allows that continuous progression for both skills and leveling up. And that is just, chef's kiss. 2 other quick things I think is important to pick out. The Phantom Theatre. Now, we're not able to test that here. You just click matchmaker and it just tells you there's an error code. But this is essentially a co-op mode, which I think's great. And from looking at what I've seen previously from like Zox's videos, go check him out, is you can also pick as well. So if you've got a team that is red, you're going to be particularly strong against green. But let's say I've got a green team and I want to fight the blue one, I can. Vice versa, if I've got a strong blue team, I can ask my friends to switch. And it makes sort of unions not just useless. And like the amount of times in the games you'll join a clan, you'll hit the boss, but nothing else really happens to it. This allows you to team up with your friends, just have a laugh and interact with each other. And I do like that. I think that is wonderful. And I like that the Ethernet Rally as another tower mode forces you to build 3 different teams. So there's 3 different starting areas here. You've got your green, your red, and your blues, right? Now, over on this side, you can see I can use hollow and constant units. The Shen Metropolis, I can use red and disorder and constant. And in here, I've got odd and disorder. So it forces you to build multiple teams. But let's say you are weak in one area, you can pick up recruitments along the way. So I actually picked up this Messiah. I don't have one. You can see that he's there. And the nice thing is I can actually use the Messiah in here as well. Doesn't matter if he's in multiple teams, you can use them throughout. And I think this is just a really clever design tower mode here with the ultimate goal, obviously killing the Doki Doki in the middle. So then the last really positive thing I want to point out is the exchange shop. I think it's got a lot of variety in here. It does reset weekly, so you can see I did buy some of the red shadow prints and the orange shadow prints and some summons. Now, Leanne is the first SSR that you are given. You can buy, let's call them like awakenings for her, or prowesses, I think they're called in this game. They're available here. You can also buy these lattices. Now, these are actually very rare. They can only really get them from these shops and from achievement or progression milestones. So I like the fact that they are available here too. But do use them sparingly, of course. But that's not all. Your arena shop, again, you can buy lattices here. So whilst they are rare, you can get hold of them. I think in a week, looks like just the 4 for now. But still, 4 is better than a poke in the eye with a pointy stick. And then the legendary ones, or the perfect lattices that you need for the SSR heroes, I think you can get 2 or 3. 3 if you include some of the lattice fragments that you'll pick up throughout the week. So a reasonable number. But yeah, I do think the shop is great. You can also buy gear. Now, I wouldn't recommend buying gear because you never know what it's going to drop. And you never know, if you really want helmets, there's no guarantee you're going to get the helmet anyway. But If you're desperate, you can get that too. So throughout the video, I've been sprinkling sort of the areas of improvement in amongst it all, almost like a poo sandwich, if you know what that is. I'm going to finish on two things that, I say, they're minor, but I do think it would help make the game better long term. Now, the first thing is module leveling, and let me find someone that. Now, the gear improves in levels of 3. So 3, you will either unlock a stat or improve 1, 6, 9, etc, etc. Now, I'm going to take something that is lower level. Let's pick this one down here. There is no level to 3, level to 6 option. It is just clicking all the way through, right? And sometimes it won't register a click. So I did click twice there. It only went to 11. And when you click again, in times that it's happened before, it would skip 12 and go to 13. So it just needs streamlining. Again, it's not the end of the world, don't get me wrong. It's more of a quality of life thing. But it'd be nice to have a button which is like upgrade to 3, upgrade to 6, upgrade to 9. I think that would make just players in general a lot happier rather than sort of spamming that level up upgrade button and then having it jump around. Again, it's not a really bad thing, just something that I think could be improved on. So the last thing is the campaign stages are gated behind levels. So if I jump into the Hyperlink here, so you start sort of at the bottom here, and then this part here might be reach level 12, and that's good because it forces, it's not that you can't get to level 12, you're just encouraging you to go to other areas of the game to improve your gear, to improve your shells, that kind of thing. But what I dislike is the reward drops, if you will. Now at this stage of the game it's dropping blue gear, but actually at this point I was already in yellow, which is way superior. Now I know that the campaign isn't necessarily a key focus for the game, but for me I would just like some better rewards here, or rewards that represent the level that you are at, okay? By the time I did these Mirage, I was farming hell and getting mythic gear, and again it's only giving me purple, so I just think that that is a little bit out of whack and could do with some improvement. Either getting rid of the gear entirely and just giving us more coins or training data, because you're always going to need that, or just to bring it up to the level that represents where you would be by the time you unlock this. And so there we are, that brings us to the end of this video. So the answer to the question, ultimately, should you play this game? Yes. Now, I've given a very honest opinion throughout. I'm not sponsored at all. I could have said anything that I wanted, really. But there isn't massively anything bad to it. They've taken a lot of the things that are negatives in other games, improved on it to make it a positive experience. Now, would I like to have more Animus? Of course I would. The actual archive is around 50, but as the game improves, that number will expand. I say improves as it gets older. And it's, yeah, as a free-to-play, I've got quite a lot as well. Now, I did get lucky with the Senia pool, but at no point have I felt like, oh, I'm really short on units. And I don't even have the currency to level them all anyway. Now, there is only one Echo SR that still eludes me after a week. That is Chiaki, but I do have everyone else, and I've got quite a few copies of each one, and these SRs are viable. You know, there's a lot of times where I've even just used a full SR team rather than bringing in some of these. And that's another thing that I think is great about this game. So make sure that you have signed up to the beta. They've got a really good rebate scheme going on for the paid beta as well, for when the launch happens in June. So don't miss out. Do go check that out. And yeah, thank you for watching. So take care, look after yourselves, work hard, but as always, play harder. And I'll see you in another one soon. Cheers.